The heart of high school wrestling is here in Adams County, and nobody covers it like WZBD.
You guys got a heck of a view.
It's time for Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Everybody wants to be there.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
90 minutes of interviews, results, discussions, and prognostications.
I'm excited.
As Hall of Famer Rex Brewer and Dane Filling bring you another episode.
We hope that you can join us here
Live from
The Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille.
on Channel Z,
I'm excited.
92.7 FM.
Well, good afternoon, wrestling fans, and welcome once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for another episode of the Haggard, Hirschy, Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly early afternoon show. This will be aired on WZBD 92.7 FM on Monday night, but Dane and I are going a little bit early for the Super Bowl events that are going on. And Dane, there's been a lot of activity all day long. I saw the text back and forth with you and Josh looking at brackets, and officially the brackets came out like 15 minutes ago, so they are up and available, so people, they don't have to guess anymore.
Well, we've been guessing since about 10 o'clock last night. A couple of text threads with people across the state and people across Adams County. A couple of discussions in between church and Bible study today, and hopefully Pastor didn't hear us talking about brackets in between them. But
the pastor, he's been locked into wrestling for a long time.
So, yeah, no, good. And we even talked about wrestling in Bible study today because middle school state's going on and just a lot going on in the wrestling world. And it's almost hard to imagine it, but there's less than 14 days left in the high school season.
Yeah, it's really flowing right along.
14. Oh, I think he wants. Do we need to turn up the volume a little bit for our studio crowd?
Well, I can do that. Try that. Is that a little bit better for Dean?
There we go. Yeah, 2 weeks from today we'll be here, and we will be live as we wrap up the state finals and wrap up our high school season. Of course, lots of middle school wrestling yet to go here in our part of the state. A lot of areas in the state, they're also done with their middle school season around now. And then, of course, we get into club folk-style state and freestyle and that kind of stuff. And, Rex, we keep kicking around the idea of doing an off-season pod once a month or so. We need to double down. And
hey, I got the equipment. I mean, let's do it. It's easy to put up a YouTube broadcast, and we can do it pretty easy.
So, Rex, first thing that I want to do is run through the show today. We're going to talk about Team State specifically in the opening segment. The new classifications just came out from the DOE, and so we know roughly who's going to be in what class. And then now that we have the data from the sectionals, we know which teams are going to be excluded because they don't have full teams, yada, yada, yada. And we now know roughly within a school or two. Then in first period A, we'll run through the East Chicago Central Semi-State, their regionals, who won, who advanced, and what the storylines were there. We'll take a look at the other three regionals from our Fort Wayne Semi-State. Then we'll look at Newcastle and Evansville, of course. Then we'll get down to the details as we run through the semi-state draws. We'll go 106 through 144 in second period B. We'll go 150 through 285 in third period A. And then in third period B, we'll take a look at those team state standings as of sectional. They're obviously not updated from yesterday, but we can certainly make some predictions based on what we learned earlier in the show. And then we get to the overtime, and we'll start talking about the Super Bowl.
Sounds like a fantastic show, Dane. And just to regress a little bit, you had a pretty good basketball game last night here, and I listened to you. I listened to Dave Nathan finish off the Belmont girls game, and by the time I got back to it, that big lead that Homestead had was gone, and you were at a one-point game, and I was like, wait a minute, that really changed fast.
It was one heck of a ball game and a great display of high school athletics in Indiana. Man, those Norwell girls showed so much fight in that game, and a never-give-up attitude. Vanessa Rossworm, who really didn't play all that well on Friday night, just lit up Homestead in the second half, and it just looked like the Spartans thought, oh, well, maybe actually they are going to beat us a second time. And once Norwell got that 10 or 12-point lead down to 3 or 4 or 5, and they started hitting some threes, it just felt like Homestead saw it as inevitable.
And it's fitting as the girl that had missed 3 threes in a row hits the big 3 with like 20 seconds left to go and puts them up. And it's like one of those things, you just got to keep shooting.
She's got that left-handed shot, and it's textbook, and it's a lot of fun. And we certainly appreciate Coach Thornton. He was very cooperative with us on both nights, and we want to commend the Southside Athletic Department, who has the big task of being the host this coming Saturday at the Coliseum. I did talk to their athletic director, and he made the comment that hosting that basketball sectional is nothing compared to having to run things at the Coliseum. So, as promised, let's talk a little bit about Team State. So the DOE just released in the last 3 weeks the enrollment numbers for high schools across Indiana. They released the parochial schools and the public schools. The strictly private schools are still awaiting data, but you're talking about maybe Culver Military and a couple of other schools. Those schools are pretty much in the middle of the classes, so I don't think there's any change that's going to happen there. So here's the big takeaways from this, and a big thanks to our friend Malign for putting this all together. Goshen and Warsaw moved down from 4A to 3A. A lot of people don't realize that 4A is really just 3A plus, right? And then 3A is every. So there's the cutoff line of 2,000 students. They changed this a while ago. They used to do 4A was the top 32, or they split it in half, and they had 3A and 3B. Now it's a clean cutoff. 2,000 students and greater is 4A, along with Mater Dei and Cathedral, who choose to wrestle in 4A. And then the rest of the classes are split evenly so that the 4A plus 3A number equals the same number as 2A and 1A. Yep. You got all that math?
Yes.
So there's 92 schools in 4A and 3A combined. The ones who are above 2,000 wrestle in 4A. The rest of them wrestle in 3A. So Goshen and Warsaw go down to 3A. Goshen and Warsaw have pretty decent teams, but I'm not sure they're at the level where they're really going to qualify for 3A. So I don't think that makes that big of a difference. Also moving up to 3A are Lebanon and Silver Creek. That doesn't really change much for me as far as teams. Lebanon's been in there in the mix. They've wrestled at 2A Team State before. But the big ones for me are the schools that didn't move. So DeKalb moves down to 2A. Kankakee Valley moves down to 2A. But the two teams on the cusp, East Noble stays stuck as the smallest school in 3A.
Okay.
This year they got votes to participate in 3A, but didn't make it. They'd be a pretty good 2A team.
Yeah.
And they are going to be the smallest 3A team. Additionally, then, New Prairie remains the largest 2A school. Had those two flipped, it's a difference of 16 students. Had those two flipped, I think New Prairie potentially is a team that, with their studs that they have, could be a 3A qualifying team, and I think East Noble could be a 2A qualifying team, but they stay the other way around. So those are interesting ones. A couple of other teams that move up from 1A to 2A Recs, Crystal House in Indianapolis.
Time out. I saw that Crystal House. I'd never heard of that school before.
Yeah, they're a school. I think they took over. Oh, I don't want to speak without knowing enough about the topic.
They're a former school. They used to be somebody else.
Yes, in Indianapolis, and they're taking over, I think, as a charter school with some philanthropic help from a big donor. That's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'd never heard that name before, so I had to stop you there.
Eastern Greentown is a team that has competed at 1A Team State before. They move up to 2A. Greencastle's up to 2A. Lapel, Triton Central up to 2A. But the big one for all you 1A fans out there is the fact that Southmont, right, a team that made the semifinals this year, they go up to 2A and are no longer wrestling in 1A. And obviously Adams Central met up with Southmont, and they've played a pretty big role the last couple of years.
That Southmont team was very, very young, and they were the up-and-comers. And you looked at that team as like, they're going to make noise in 1A for a long time. Well, apparently we were wrong.
Yeah, I think they'll qualify in 2A. If not directly, probably as a vote-in next year. Moving down then, Peru down to 1A. And Monrovia down to 1A. Now, Monrovia has competed at both 2A Team State and 1A Team State in the last 10 years. So they could potentially be a player in 1A for next year. So once again, 32 schools wrestling in 4A next year. Cathedral and Mater Dei making 2 of them. Cathedral would be a 3A school. Mater Dei would be a 2A school. 60 schools then in 3A. In 2A, it'll be 91 schools and 92 schools in 1A. So that's the changes. We'll talk about the standings later on in the show, but I just kind of wanted to preface that because when they update the team standings, Rex, certainly for our listening area, 1A and 2A are kind of our focus. We're going to know a lot about where Belmont, Adams Central, South Adams, and a lot of other area schools are heading into these brackets that we're going to talk about in the second and third period. We're going to be able to look at some of those matches and say, if this kid wins this match, they're going to team state next year.
Yeah,
we're going to be able to put that much context into it. Obviously, 4A and 3A still have a lot of ground to cover. Most of the 3A and 4A schools still have double-digit wrestlers remaining, and there's a ton of up and down that can happen. But 1A and 2A are going to be pretty much set. You're going to see those totals. There's only going to be a handful of schools who have more than 6, probably, I would think, in those 2 classes. So
with that, let's round out this first segment and be back with segment number 2 right after this on WZBD's YouTube channel.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment here on the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah, and we've got several texts from people from across the state who are listening. Give a shout-out to Cameron Sarkon, who is listening in Indianapolis and a big fan of our show, former Cathedral wrestler. Rex, we're going to start off with the East Chicago Central Regionals, and a shout-out to the Pirates. We talk a lot of Maryville wrestling this season, it seems like. They're having a lot of success.
I tell you what, between our show and Indiana Matt, there's been a lot of Maldonados on the air.
For sure. So Maryville wins it, 193 points. Portage second with 131. They edge out Hobart, who were at 128.5. And Maryville going to take 12 guys to East Chicago Central as part of that. So the Fighting Maldonados pick up another trophy, and they're poised to have a pretty big tournament. And, of course, we look forward to one of Mr. Monroe's favorite games of the state finals. How many Maldonados can fit into one hotel room to celebrate the state finals? At Crown Point, no secret, I should say. Crown Point wins it by 100 points over Lowell. 253.5 points for the Bulldogs. Lowell was second. New Prairie were third, 123.5. Crown Point without their 6-pounder, who I think missed weight at sectional, never actually wrestled. So they go 13 for 13 in the opening round. They'll take 13 to East Chicago for the semi-state. And, of course, they remain in the hunt as a potential IHSAA state champion here in 2 weeks. We don't, looking forward to that, it's so hard to project right now because between the ticket rounds, which we just found out about in the last half hour, and another set of random death draws that come next Sunday, you can't really project how many guys Crown Point, Brownsburg, and Center Grove are going to have.
They're going to take a lot. Let's just put it that way.
It's going to be a big number. So Lowell ends up with 10 semi-state qualifiers out of that regional, and New Prairie ended up with 8. At Penn, it was the Kingsmen who came away with the regional title, 206 points. They beat out Rochester, who are at 168.5. And this is the second week in a row that we've mentioned Coach Bill Flatt's team. They come in third. South Bend Riley does with 111.5. And, they finish ahead of teams like Mishawaka and a couple others. So good job, Coach Flatt. That's a nice finish for you guys, 111.5 points. Penn will take 11 to the East Chicago semi-state. Then over in the Lafayette area, actually at Logansport, it was West Lafayette Harrison. We talked to Coach Hickman last week after the Bombers of Rensselaer Central won their sectional, and he told us we've seen enough of Harrison to know how good they are. It's going to be a tough battle for us. They end up 20.5 points short of Harrison. So Harrison comes away with the regional title. Rensselaer second with 148.5. And you put all of those 4 regionals in together. A lot of people like to dog on that Lafayette Logansport area regional. It's still a pretty tough place to go.
They go north, right? They go
north.
They go north and west.
Also, a shout-out, I believe, if I looked right, Isabel Kaplan qualified for the semi-state, and she's one of just 2 girls left wrestling the boys here this season.
Wait, is she wrestling this year?
I don't know. She was at 20. Let's see if I can pull it up here for you.
So it's her and Olivia Kroll, correct?
Yes. So the brackets for East Chicago are up right now. And I know that there were a couple of ones that were being discussed as your classic potential death draws. But, Rex, here we go. Kaplan's at 113. She'll take on Tyler Quarles of Lowell in the first round. And then Roman Marquez of South Bend Riley or Dominic Dillon of Griffith in that quarter bracket. So Kaplan at 29-2 in a quarter bracket with 3 sophomore boys with a decent amount of losses. All of them more than 8 losses. Marquez is a pretty darn good wrestler. If I remember right, he wrestled Bradley Baker. I'd have to go back and look.
And then Olivia Kroll is Eastern Greentown. They're coming out of Newcastle.
No. Northeastern.
Northeastern. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
same color uniforms. I always get confused. They're green and yellow.
Exactly. So that East Chicago Central semi-state, and you always tell your story of refereeing that semi-state for all those years. It wasn't at East Chicago. It was at
Maryville. Maryville Gym. And the Maldonado boys, when they were talking about the old Maryville semi-state, and they literally, the mats rolled up and the front of the mat was up against the bleachers, and people were sitting there with their feet on the bleachers, and they had a little string that was right between them, and the people would hang over the end. There was a little section that hung out over the mat in one corner, and people could drop stuff on you, and it was, that gym was so tight. And like I think Bill Maldonado said, you get in that gym now and you look and go, how did we ever put the semi-state in here? You get up and you get up, go to the bathroom, come back, and somebody took your seat, and it was this big fight to see where you're supposed to sit.
So those are your results from the East Chicago Central regionals. And let's go ahead and cue up a break here, Rex, and we'll jump deeper into the Fort Wayne semi-state regionals right after this.
Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
First Bank of Bern is proud to serve as the only local bank in Adams County. I'm Jessica Zerker with First Bank of Bern in Decatur. We believe that a bank's strength is rooted in the prosperity of the communities it serves. This drives our commitment to nurturing the success of businesses in our local area. We provide our customers with easy-to-use banking solutions and exceptional service as part of our dedication to fostering their growth. Whether it's through loans, lines of credit, cash management, or other tailored services, First Bank of Bern stands ready to support your business in thriving and prospering. First Bank of Bern, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for another segment here of the High School Wrestling Weekly.
And we move to talking about our local regionals here. And at Goshen is where we'll start. We'll go north to south, I guess, or east and west. Well, Goshen's far enough north. East Noble wins it. They take the title with 116.5. I think that was the lowest point total, so that tells you a little bit about just how spread out the talent was at that Goshen Regional. They beat out Wawasee with 94. And I thought we'd look through some of these champions, if you don't mind.
That regional was always interesting. It seemed like of all the regionals I ever did, of the 25 regionals I did, I used to get that one a lot. I used to do the Goshen Regional probably every 3 years maybe.
I've been so used to going to Goshen now, as we've been there for Thanksgiving the last, I think, 5 years. So a little bit more familiar with some of those teams because a lot of the area teams compete there against Belmont. Connor Cleveland, who was your conference champ in the NE8 from East Noble, he wins the regional. He's now 35-3 and awfully impressive. Then at 113 pounds, it was Maximus Clayberg from Prairie Heights. And we'll talk about Clayberg a little bit more when we go through the semi-state brackets. Cameron Center of Wawasee was your champion at 120. We saw him in the very opening broadcast of the season. First place match at 126, Quinnell Gabriel of Lakeland. And these are all guys that we've seen throughout the year so far. We saw Gabriel up at Goshen. He beats Hawkins of Fremont in the final. 132, the championship went to Donovan Cunningham from Concord. And Concord really making a lot of strides this year. That's a program that is definitely on the rise.
New coach Colin Kroom took over the head of that.
And they got invited to the Al Smith this year and have been doing a lot of things. At 144, your champion was another Concord wrestler in Bryson Brossemer, 31-4. At 150, Dallas Davidson of Angola still has just one loss. He pins Kevin Tom of Wawasee in 1:25. That's a surprising result for me. At 157, it was Blake Roberts of Jimtown who beats out Northwood sophomore Farouk Ghaffar. I think Naima's little brother. Then at 165, it was Riley Biddle. You were talking about him before the show. He beats Central Noble's Porter Clayberg in the finals 11-1. Biddle has just one loss on the year. At 175, Jacob B. Miller, another champ for Concord. He gets a Tech Fall in the finals. He's 33-8. 190, the winner was Brogan Parks of West Noble. 215, Derek Morrison. No surprise there. He beats out Taden Getz 10-0. And at 285, it was Kyle Summer of Elkhart who was your champion. We go down to Carroll. And Rex, I don't know, did you look through those brackets at all?
I did not.
It was...
I was busy being a grandpa this morning. I didn't have time to look at brackets like you did.
It was your boy, your daddy.
Ye daddy. I had some texts with him back last night. Asked him how his team did, and he said he had some kids that really wrestled well.
So let me run through those. Team scores were as follows. Garrett with 153. They beat out Homestead by 17. Homestead was second, and Carroll was 20 points behind them in third. Your champion at 106 was Joey Warner. No surprise there, although there was some question there whether Southside's Jalen Davis was going to be in the mix there. That final was 9-4. That sounds like 3 takedowns to me.
Yeah.
In the final. At 113, Drew Heisler of Homestead beat Ramon Sierra of Garrett 9-0. Bakari Cooper won again this weekend. After missing out on the NE8, he takes sectional and regional titles. He beat Braden Jude of Leo 19-9. Swarthwood beats Cornwell in the championship match at 126, so there's a champ for Garrett. Shout out to Cade Foster of Heritage. He qualifies for semi-state, the sophomore at 126. Champion at 132 was Sean Harris in a 1-0 match with Deacon Rhodes of Fort Wayne Snyder. Sean Harris still has just 1 loss on the year, the junior for the Bulldogs. Hunter Douglas also has just 1 loss on the year, that coming in the Al Smith finals. He beat Noah Dove in the finals. Man, Noah Dove has 42 wins for Eastside. Eastside's got a lot of matches in. Malachi Tholner was your champion at regional. Does that surprise you?
No surprise.
And I know Jordan Raines had a good season, but, man, every time we've seen Tholner, it's been awfully impressive.
And I did see some good news this morning that Gabe Myers has drawn on the opposite side of Tholner.
Yes, that's good news if you're Gabe Myers, bad news if you're somebody else in that quarter bracket. 50, it was Ian Hutchinson of Homestead who beat Kokendorfer from Garrett 12-2. At 57, Leakin Carter had a 1 minute and 19-second fall. At 165, it was Concordia with a champion. Nolan Winokur beat Noah Bowser from Carroll 11-6. Carter Fielden won at 175. No surprise there. Jax Litchfield got the fall over Joe Richmond. He wins a regional title, and I think Heritage is going to state. We'll talk about the brackets. We don't want to spoil anything until we get there, but I think the Heritage Patriots are going to be represented at the state finals, and that's great for their program. At 215, Johnny Bear of Homestead was the favorite, and he wins by fall. And at 285, no big surprise, Isaiah Kuhlman remains undefeated on the season and pins Jacob Reynolds in the second period. Rex, I don't know. We saw the 285s at the Al Smith. We've seen Hartle Road. We've seen most of the guys in the top 5.
I've seen Kuhlman multiple times this year.
I really think heavyweight's one of those weight classes where you can throw everything that happened last year out the window.
Yeah.
I know you've got a defending state champ in there, but golly.
Kuhlman is so big. You know, you stand next to Grady Baker and you think Grady's pretty big, and then he gets next to Kuhlman. Kuhlman just makes him look little. I mean, Grady's, 245 maybe, and Kuhlman and Hartle and those guys, they're pushing 287 real hard.
We'll drop down to the Peru Regional. It was North Miami coming away with another trophy. What have they not won this year? They've won Team State. They've won their conference. They've won their sectional. They've won their regional. They're going to be a player next week for a semi-state title.
Yeah.
After the weekends that they've had.
You know, you hoped you drew somebody out of that Peru Manchester bracket. North Miami's changed the game there.
Huntington North, who came back over to Peru this year or last year, I don't remember which, they take second with 91 points. Northfield third with 79. Let's go ahead and run through your champions.
It's nice to see that Huntington North team back up. I mean, they were up, they were down, and they're on their way back up. And that's a real solid team. We saw them at the Adams Central Invitational.
I totally agree with you. It looks like Peru also did the J County and got through all their third-place matches. Before we go any further, what did you think?
I liked it. It was good. I mean, there's no reason to hurry and get out of there as soon as you can. We were still out of there by 2:30. I mean, my equipment was packed up and I was on the road by 2:30.
I don't know why we can't start the thing at 9:30, though.
There you go. Take an extra half hour. They took an hour lunch break.
I know Matthew C. appreciates J County Standard Time, but I really do think that, and he's an early riser, so he's ready and fired up. But on Saturdays, he's at Ace Hardware, so he's not listening.
They've got a radio in there, I think.
He would actually like it to be delayed a little bit later, so that when he gets off work, they're still wrestling.
I don't know anymore. You don't have to have a radio. You just have to have your phone and an earbud.
This is true. Well, I liked it.
It was good.
I hope that they keep it. I don't know if you necessarily want to do it for sectional. And obviously, semi-state's a long a long day. You can't change that format. You might be better off wrestling the semi-state in a faster format somehow, but I like it for regional.
I always thought the regional was too short anyways. I mean, if you take the way they ran it this week, it was maybe a half hour less than that was for sectional, and sectional had a lot of extra teams, extra round in there, but I think it balanced out. If you're done and out of your wrestling tournament by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's a fine time.
Well, and the lunch break allowed you to eat a lot more meatballs than you would have. How many sandwiches did you have?
I didn't have any sandwiches.
You didn't have a sandwich?
I just loaded up a plate full of meat.
Oh.
I just had a big pile of meat on there.
You didn't want the buns to get in the way.
No, if you roll into a hospitality room and there's 7 crock pots there, you know it's a good day.
They were roasters, not just crock
they
pots.
had roasters.
Okay, Peru Regional, 106-pound championship match. Ari Schrock of Mechaniqua, 42-1. He wins by tech fall. At 113, it was a dandy. Ian McVicker stays undefeated from Mississinewa. He's a junior. He beat Hunter Duncan from North Miami 11-9. Braylon McIntyre was easily going to be the champ there. He stays undefeated for North Miami, 16-0. And then, of course, Rex Moore, who last year was a regional champ for Manchester. Now he's a regional champ for North Miami. He wins easily 12-5. Hickson Love, another undefeated wrestler. So Rex, in the first 5 weights at that regional, 1 loss amongst the 5
Hickson
champs.
Love, Marion?
From Marion.
Yeah.
He wins 11-0. Eric Hunt, he's got 2 losses. Ruining the run. One of those is to
what a scrub. He's got 2 losses.
One of those is to Henry Farreau. I'm guessing both of them were at the Al Smith, if I remember right. He beat Caden Simpson from Madison Grant 14-8. Keegan Hallis of Eastern Greentown is also undefeated. He was your champ at 144. He beat Brady Arthur of Oak Hill by fall. Lathan Janes from Huntington North was your champion. So Huntington North with the champ there. Transfer from Carroll last year. Evan Oglesby of Mechaniqua still has 1 loss on the year. He beat Patrick Flowers of Huntington North at 157. At 165, Marion got a second champ. Sean Caldwell, the senior, wins the title there. At 175, Eli Gall beats Remington Kressel of Wabash. And Gall is one of those names when you look at those 75s from the Fort Wayne semi-state that you really don't know what his ceiling is.
Yep.
190, Jordan Simon. That's a name that we spent a lot of time talking about 190 on this show and in our circles. Adams County wrestlers went 1, 2, 3, right? We know Jax Litchfield, so our coverage area has 4 guys in there that are great. But if you don't know Jordan Simon's name, you need to, because he's an awfully good wrestler, and he's going to, we'll get to the draws later on. At 215, you saw Hartley Hoover.
Yes, he's a man. He's got a 40-year-old man's mustache. I know that much.
So Hoover wins it in 1 minute and 1 second. And at 285, Logan Smith of North Miami wins the final 5-3. So Rex, North Miami with regional champions at 20, 26, 90, 215, and 285. No wonder they won 1A team.
Yeah, 92-15 and heavy. They're really solid. I mean, I bet that's a really good 3-man group in a room.
Outstanding. So all of those regionals will come together and meet up with the regional that we called yesterday to bring you the Fort Wayne semi-state. We'll talk about that here in about half an hour. Right now, though, we'll send it back for another round of messages. We'll be back to tell you about the Newcastle semi-state right after this.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Hello, this is Joel. from your local hometown Package Liquors. Package Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Zeeland. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Package Liquors, it's where your friends shop.
If you're serious about taking your wrestling to the next level, then Warrior RTC Wrestling Club is the place to be. Every Sunday at 4:30 and Wednesday at 6, boys and girls from different elementary, middle, and high schools come together to build skills, confidence, and lifelong friendships. With high-level experienced coaches and a positive training atmosphere, every Warrior learns to work hard and have fun doing it. Whether you're chasing your first medal or your next state title, Warrior RTC will help you in your relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Visit online at warriorrtc.com to learn more about the year-round wrestling opportunities and train like a champion.
You hear it all the time. Do you have the right insurance coverage? But are you really taking that question seriously? Josh Book may be stationed in his home office in Noble County, but he's ready to serve you if you're listening to this broadcast, no matter what county you're in, and help you get the best insurance for your farm, business, or home. A proud insurance agent with Farm Bureau Insurance, Josh is ready to have a conversation with you about the rates you're paying and the coverage you're getting. Give him a call and have that important conversation with an experienced Farm Bureau agent today. Find out more at infarmbureau.com.
Welcome back to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment here on the High School Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah, and when we talk about the Newcastle semi-state, pay attention to some of these team scores and think about how wild it was. Belmont kind of took all of the drama out of yesterday.
You know,
that opening round.
We talked all week that it's like, Delta's going to come here and make noise, but when you're talking about 14 weight classes on a scale of that,
Five's not enough.
I don't think they had enough horses.
No, 5 was not enough, and they only ended up with those 5. They scored a ton of points. A per wrestler average, they probably win it, but it's total points.
Most of them pinned or tech their way through the tournament, so
that's all that matters. Well, starting at North Montgomery, it was Zionsville who backed up their sectional crown with a regional title. They scored 135 points, and they won 8 of 14 in the first round. Hamilton Southeastern were second. Westfield tied them, and Fishers tied them. How about that? A 3-way tie for second between Fishers, Westfield, HSC, 27 points behind Zionsville. At Pendleton Heights, how about taking 14 guys to semi-state and not winning a regional title? Our good friend, Coach Weimer, knew. He told us last week, right?
Yeah.
He told us it was going to be tough to beat Cathedral, and he was right. He knew what he was talking about.
I almost pulled that shirt out of the drawer today and wore that. But
did you?
Yeah.
So Cathedral, they lost their heavyweight over week 1, but they still went. I think it was an injury maybe. They still went 12 of 13 in the opening round. So how did Noblesville get beat with 14 semi-state qualifiers? Cathedral had 12, so that makes a little bit more sense. So Cathedral scores 237.5, one of the larger totals from this weekend. They beat Noblesville by 22. And poor Alexandria, they finished third. They were all the way back 121 points in between them. So it was really kind of a Noblesville versus Cathedral dual meet in a lot of ways at that regional. That'll be a fun semi-state when you bring in these other 3 regionals. At Perry, it was Roncalli leading going into the very last bout, okay? And William Gleasing, who's undefeated, the new pal heavyweight, he pins Markey of Warren Central, who is an awfully talented and athletic kid. And they needed the pin to win the regional. And so Gleasing ends the tournament with a fall in the championship bout at 285, and they win it by half a point.
160.5 to 160.
Wild. That would have been something to be a part of. So we also heard Ron Cully. Did you listen to Indiana Sports Talk last night?
I did not.
Well, I was on the way home, so I was listening to it. And Ron Cully is ranked number 1 in 3A, and are a potential state finals opponent for our Belmont Braves. Just a side note for you there. Then at Richmond, it was not a high-scoring affair. Nobody scored over 100 points, but East Central beats Newcastle 96-95.5.
Oh, man, another half-point victory.
Franklin County was right behind them at 91. That would have been an upset. It would have been an even bigger upset if Milan would have won. They were at 88.5. But listen to this, Rex. 190 in the finals. East Central's 190 wins by injury default over Newcastle's 190.
Oh, so that's a half point there.
I don't know what the details are on that, but that's heartbreaking, crushing for Newcastle, who really sounds like if they would have been able to wrestle their guy, they probably would have been able to not get pinned.
How do you have some regionals where a team wins by 150 points and you have two regionals in a row that are decided by half a team point?
Yeah. That, we go back to the team state era, right, before 2012, when we didn't keep a team score at the regional and at the semi-state, and, man, we really miss out because some of those had to have been exciting, especially in today's technological age. And we're not talking about Barry Humble on an overhead projector up against a wall.
With a grease marker on a piece of clear
We're
plastic.
talking about everybody knowing, for the most part, in real time what the score is, and that's a lot of fun. At the Evansville semi-state then, the Mooresville Regional is, of course, the granddaddy of them all in Indiana. Avon's a top 8 team in the state of Indiana, and they finished 3rd, right? Brownsburg wins it with 210.5. They beat Center Grove by 9 points. In a lot of ways, that's just one head-to-head.
That tells you how strong Center Grove is, that they're within 10 points of Brownsburg.
Avon 3rd with 130.5. Brownsburg takes 12 to Evansville, to Roberts.
Ford Theater. Ford Arena.
Not Ford Theater.
Ford Arena.
That's where Lincoln got shot, Rex. Yeah. Were you there?
Nah, he graduated the year before I did.
Booth did?
Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln, okay. I lost my spot. The old joke just got me too excited. Oh, yeah. Brownsburg with 12, Center Grove with 12. You bring in Mater Dei, you bring in Franklin and Columbus East. That's going to be a heck of a team race next week at, what do we call it?
Ford Arena.
Ford Arena.
And that's a beautiful stadium. We were down there how many years ago?
Yeah, when we both of us died from illness. So then go to the Bloomington South Regional, and Bloomington South picks up another regional title, 199.5 to Floyd Central's 101.5. And the Panthers come away with 11 semi-state qualifiers. Bloomington South had a really, really solid year, and they deserve all the credit for that.
It seemed like they had a lot of guys in the last 2-3 rounds of Al Smith. They had a lot of guys up there.
For sure. One of the odder regionals in the state this weekend of the 16 was at Jeffersonville. And, there's just no good way to slice those teams. The teams in the Jennings County sectional are really, really strong. The teams in the Jeff sectional, they're really struggling.
Yeah.
56 semi-state qualifiers. 50 of them come from Jennings County. 6 of them come from the Jeffersonville sectional. And I don't mean to pile on, and I'm a big fan of the coaching staff there, but like Jeffersonville went 0 for 14 in the first round. They took 14 guys to regional, and they went 0 for 14. I feel for those guys. They had I think 13 falls they gave up, and just one match they lost by decision.
Wow.
At some point, the IHSAA may want to look at that one and say, maybe we can mix some of these teams in here so that something like that doesn't happen, because that just seems like it's unnecessary.
Well,
they need to take somebody from that other sectional and move it over. I don't know what else you do.
And then you drop down at Castle. Look at the disparity between first and second there.
Yeah, well, Mater Dei's just had a great year, and they reloaded more than a lot of people thought that they were. So once again, Franklin wins the Jeffersonville sectional over Jeffersonville regional over Columbus East, 218.5 to 190.5, 28.5 points. Congratulations to Coach Tante. Franklin advances all 14 to the semi-state. Columbus East with 11. So congrats to the Fighting Tantes. Then at Castle, Evansville Mater Dei scores 249. I guess I could just scroll back up, Rex, and tell you. Was that the most points scored? 249.
Somebody had 252, I think, didn't they?
Yep. Crown Point beat them by 4.5 points. Mater Dei wins it. Heritage Hill second with 102. And Mater Dei, they advance 13, all but their heavyweight, to next week's semi-state. So, with that, that wraps up our recap of this weekend. We will come back and we will go into detail about the semi-state draws right after this.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille as we've made our way through another segment of the High School Wrestling Weekly. And Dane, I really like that Beth and the staff here, they've come up with a burger of the week. And they select their burger and runs all week, and then they have their double smashy burger that you can also get. I've had one this week. I've been thinking about all week, the Double Eagle Burger back on the menu, and that is today's special along with wings as you always do. So if you're going to roll in here for the big game later on, you always have those specials, but I think a Double Eagle Burger is going home with me tonight.
Well, of course, we need to stock up on our calories to get ready for Saturday when
we're packing our lunch.
We got to eat bologna and cheese sandwiches and little bags of chips to get through. I did say something to the Southside staff. I said, it's a pretty nice spread. It'd be nice if we had something like this next week. Oh, they don't let us do anything with that.
Well, they used to always, the Adams Central guys that ran it for years took care of us. But then when New Haven took it over, nothing against New Haven, but I see a lot of East Allen County staff members.
It's Fort Wayne community now.
Going in there eating, and there's like no media. Okay, I'll live with that.
You'd think with all the profits that they get from streaming. And just remember, next week, you can continue to follow all of the action without paying. Next week, we will be on YouTube. We'll be on the air. We are going to intermingle a little bit in the afternoon as both Belmont and Norwell are going to be playing in the afternoon. We're going to try to find time to squeeze in some of the basketball on air. They're going to alternate back and forth. But if you're just interested in the wrestling, YouTube's going to be your place to go. There will be a couple spots, I think, in the afternoon where when we don't have anybody wrestling specifically, where we may cede our time to the girls to allow them to have their spotlight as well. It's one of the unfortunate parts of the scheduling with the IHSAA.
Well, what you and I have decided that we're going to go on YouTube, and we're going to run YouTube all day long. The studio can decide what they put on and what they don't put on. But if you're a solid, avid wrestling fan and you want to pull out your phone, you want to listen to YouTube and put it on, you get us all day long.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
It is a good problem to have, and we really hope that the following week, when we get to the state finals, that we're arguing about whether or not to put Mav Dubois in the state semifinals on or a semi-state basketball game on. And when they are at the same time, we'll do the very best that we can. So we're looking forward to that, and it's all part of WZBD sports coverage, your leader in sports.
Not to change subject,
Did
they see the draw? Did Belmont end up pulling that regional?
Yes. So Belmont was always going to host a regional. You would make the assumption that Belmont would play in their own regional, and that is
assumption.
What happened? So Belmont and Norwell will both play. They won't play each other. I don't remember which one's which. One's at 1 and one is at 4, and they'll both be at Belmont. So.
And you'd see their draws, who they play?
It was already determined Belmont will play East Noble, who they already beat this year, and I believe Norwell plays Snyder. Now, Snyder beat Norwell earlier this year, so that's okay. Let's jump into the 106s, and once again, for those of you who aren't too familiar with the formula, you got 4 regionals. They get listed as A, B, C, and D based on alphabetical order. Then there's a random draw, and you get one guy from each regional in each quarter bracket, and one of those guys comes out and ends up a state qualifier. A 1 will wrestle a 4, a 2 will wrestle a 3. It's been that way since they added the 4th placers from the regional, which, Rex, I don't know what you think of it. I tend to think that the IHSAA has in the last 10 or 15 years recognized that the longer a kid is in the state tournament, the more accolades, the more accomplishments that he feels. There's not really any harm to bringing another kid along. Most of them lose anyways, but they get to be a semi-state qualifier rather than just some other.
Well, if it's done financially, every kid you bring into the event is going to bring 2 parents, a couple of grandparents, a younger brother, younger sister. Why would you turn money away?
Yeah, well, and add to that, I wonder how many teams only have 1 or 2 4th-place finishers from regionals. How many teams' seasons would be over if you just looked at the 4th? Blackford has the semi-state qualifier. If we went by the old rules, their season would be over.
Yep.
There will be somebody there from Blackford representing that school, and I think that's good. So we are going to – I was trying to look at how far back the number of Belmont semi-state qualifiers went. I saw that Tim did the math for us and said that it was a record of 12. Obviously, you probably only need to go back to when they changed it, because to qualify 12 and top 3 would have just been insane.
Yeah.
I was looking at the 2002 bracket to try to think how many they had. That was the year they took 8 to state, and I was reminded of the top 3 from regional moving on.
That changes your calculations a little bit.
That one, though, that was the last year of the old format where 2 went out of sectional, 3 went from regional, and 4 went from semi-state.
Yep.
That one seemed to be a little bit more logical, but to allow a kid to move on as a 4th-place finisher, if he comes in and beats a sectional champ, and then to eliminate him, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyways, let's go to 106 pounds. We'll talk about the guys in our area as we start, and let's go ahead and start with Jacob Binniger of Belmont. He is going to take on the freshman from DeKalb, Grady Nevins, 26-10, and Binniger with a state ranking and a semi-state ranking, likely to be a heavy favorite in that one.
So, Dane, also let's tell everybody that if you're listening to us live out there, where can you find these? You can either go to USA Bracketing and just click on Fort Wayne Semi-State or whatever Sem-State you want, and then Gio also has them up on Indiana Mat. But like I said, there's so many people trying to get on Indiana Mat that it's a little bit slow. But other than that, it's 2 places you can go see them.
And so just again to explain the format, 16 guys in each weight class. They're going to wrestle 2 elimination rounds to get down to 4. So you need to win twice to be able to go to the state finals. And Binniger's ticket round match is likely to be against number 1 ranked Joey Warner of Carroll. That one's going to be a tough one. Warner is a former medal winner, and so that would be his potential ticket round adversary. And then scrolling up, Fredinger drew Connor Cleveland of East Noble in the first round, who we just talked about. That's going to be a tough one for him. So 106, looks like somebody from our area is going to have to pull an upset if we're going to get somebody through in that one. At 113, Brock Sprunger finished 4th at Jay County. He'll take on Drew Heisler, who's ranked 14th in the state, 31-7. Scrolling down, an interesting matchup, I think, in the bottom half, as Jackson Webb would wrestle Ian McVicker, number 2 versus number 6 in the semi-state in the ticket round. All the way down at the bottom, Bradley Baker, 30-10 now in his freshman year. He'll wrestle Ramon Sierra of Garrett, a state qualifier from last year, in the opening round. And then he would wrestle Maximus Clayberg potentially in the ticket round. Clayberg ranked 4th in the semi-state, Sierra ranked 5th. And Rex, I don't know, are we to the point where Indiana Mat's working again?
I don't know. I'm on USA Bracketing. So.
Well, I know I wanted to go into greater detail of this. Oh, it is working. And I wanted to tell you what those guys did at 113 at the Al Smith. So we'll see if I can get it to pull up here. So much traffic on Indiana, Matt. At 120, if we can, I'll wait. Oh, here it goes. At 113, obviously, Kay Jackson and McVicker have been up at the top nearly the entire time. Clayburgh beat Ramon Sierra 15-2 earlier in the year. And Sierra has not wrestled Bradley Baker that I see. Maybe we'll have to jump in there. Don't know if that's because... Well, we'll pull it up in a second. At 120 pounds, Cameron Center of Wawasee was a state qualifier all the way back his freshman year. He's trying to go back his senior year, and that's a potential ticket round opponent for Max Adams of South Adams. We've seen a lot of Adams in the last couple of weeks. Rex, what's your take? A lot of times we talk about whether kids deserve a spot. That's kind of not probably the best way to view it, but I think the way Adams has wrestled the last 3 weekends shows me that he's put himself in the conversation, and you wouldn't be surprised if he snuck in there.
Yeah, and you look at you got Oliver Farot, his first round matches against a wrestler from Huntington North that you said they just wrestled at the conference tournament with Oliver in a win, but on the other half of his quarter, ticket round possibly would be with Bakari Cooper with just one loss from New Haven. And Cooper did not wrestle in the conference, so it's an interesting draw there.
Yeah, here I have the 113. I knew that they had seen each other. Clayburgh and Baker met in the very first round at the Al Smith, and Clayburgh beat him in that match. And so that's what was sticking in my head. I knew that it was there. Baker then wrestled Tyler Quarles from Lowell, who is also a semi-state qualifier. And that right there just shows you how tough that Al Smith is. Bradley Baker came in with a record of, what was his record at the time? He was 20-2. He came in unseeded. He wrestled 2 semi-state qualifiers and was eliminated. And that's all that he had a chance to do. So he didn't really get a chance to show us what he was possible.
From our regional, we thought Wicker looked really well, really tough, and then Webb pushed him in the finals as well. And I still think Wicker comes out of that bottom half.
So Rex mentioned that Oliver Farot will take on Houston Smith of Huntington North. That was 4-1 or 4-2, I think, at conference. And so Farot has an opportunity to become a ticket rounder. And we talked about on the broadcast yesterday that for most of the kids that we're talking about, getting to state is the ultimate mark. Who cares about which quarter you're in or which half you're in, I should say. All that really matters is qualifying. There are some pluses to becoming a ticket rounder. One, it gets you a really nice seed at sectional the year after. But for the Al Smith, they generally give guys who are ticket rounders preference on seed before win percentage.
Yeah.
And so even a little tiny thing like that for Oliver Farot next year, he goes into the Al Smith seeding meeting as a returning ticket rounder. That's the difference between him getting 4 or 5 good matches or him getting a draw like Bradley Baker did as a freshman and wrestling 2 pretty tough guys. At the bottom half then of 120, anything that sticks out to you there, Rex?
No, I think Wicker comes out of the bottom half of the bracket, and Cooper looks really tough in the top half as well.
Braylon McIntyre on the bottom half as well. He'd be a potential semi-final opponent for Reed Wicker. They have Wicker ranked 7th in the state and McIntyre 10th. McIntyre has Silas Wank in that opening round. Scroll down to 126, and I like what I see from the bracket so far with Dakota Sprunger. He'll take on Mauricio Perez of Oak Hill.
Now, in his possible ticket round, you got Cornwell. Did those two wrestle in the? No, that
I don't think
Dwenger was
correct.
not in the Central invite.
Correct.
I'm sorry, South Adams wasn't. Dwenger was there. South Adams was not.
Yeah.
Cornwell made the finals.
So Cornwell will take on Carrillo, and then Sprunger will have a chance to reach the state finals and get South Adams back to Indianapolis if Sprunger and Adams are unable to. And, this is one of those times where we probably want to make sure that we know. We look at the rankings. We say this person's favored. That's just the general consensus. No, we're not writing anybody off by not mentioning them as a potential semi. That's just the way you do it.
Did anybody think that Bobby Kinnicky was going to hit 2 spladles on 2 guys and win his ticket round with a 26-16 record or whatever it was? No.
So just to toss that out there. We don't want to think that we're offending anybody or writing anybody off, but
there's some good matches though at 26 because you got Swarthburn in the bottom half down there, and he would possibly be a ticket round match for Ben Mills. With Swarthburn with just 2 losses, and then top half you got Sprunger with 2 losses, and then you got Rex Moore coming out of that same bracket to be a semifinal match for Sprunger, and he is 36-0.
Rex Moore trying to become a 4-time state qualifier. Of course, he finally won a medal last year, took 8th place. Yeah, Swarthwood and Mills in the ticket round. Keegan Tedder of Western is the opening round opponent for Ben Mills. And, boy, Rex, my memory is not, as I say from time to time, not at the Jeff Heller levels that it used to be.
Well, because
I know that Tedder,
those guys aren't changing to basketball and doing a basketball game on Saturday night after you just did wrestling all day Saturday.
I tell you what, it was nice to call the Norwell game having already done one. Tedder, see, Ben Mills lost. No, they did not wrestle at the Al Smith, so that would be a new opponent for Ben. But 23-11, hasn't made his way into the rankings yet. I'd like to think that the way Ben Mills is wrestling and knowing the quality of opponent that he's faced, that is going to give Ben a pretty good shot to show up and get himself into the ticket round. And then, Belmont and Garrett didn't end up clashing at Team State, and Swarthwood was on a different side of the bracket. So all new opponents for Ben, and I'm looking forward to watching wrestle on Saturday. Quinnell Gabriel, Rex, is pretty good from Lakeland down there too, I think. Don't know if I think Mills and Gabriel wrestled as well when they were at Goshen.
I've already jumped up to 32. Looking at cert 32, there's some really good wrestlers
I'm sorry.
at 32.
It was Luke Rubel who wrestled Gabriel, not. So at 132, which one were you talking about?
All of them. You got Jensen Boyd in there that's got 5 losses, but some of those come from, from Iron Man and some other stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
He's as good as we've seen this year. You got Hickson Love from Marion undefeated. You got Sean Harris on New Haven with 1 loss.
And don't forget that we just said that Harris beat Deacon Rhodes 1-0. So Rhodes in there as well. That'll be a fun ticket round match with Boyd. And Cale Beer wrestles Corbin Hafley of Fremont. He's a sophomore, unranked, 30-11. We've been impressed with Beer since the very beginning of the year. I'd like to think that he wins that match and will take on Sean Harris, and maybe Dean, who's sitting over here, can remind us.
They probably wrestled at the in New Haven Invitational.
Well, they wrestled twice in a week. No, they changed the lineup up, right, at one of them. No, I'll tell you here in a second. Belmont plays at 1 o'clock, says Dave Nathan. Thank you. I want to give a shout-out while I'm also looking this up to my parents who are listening live in Florida. They made it safely. Thankful for that. And let's see. Cale Beer beat Bakari Cooper. Don't forget that one. That was 7-4. And then he also beat Quinnell Gabriel, who we just talked about, but he did not wrestle Sean Harris. So those two did not meet this year.
32's got some really good guys in there with 1-2 losses, and Boyd with 5 losses, I think, is probably the favorite. He's ranked number 1 in that 4-1 semi-state.
Go all the way down to the bottom of the bracket, and you see a winnable match there, I think, for Will Patterson. He will wrestle Griffin Klein, the freshman from East Noble, and then the winner of that would take on Hickson Love. And, Patterson's dangerous. Nobody's going to look at that bracket that's unfamiliar with Patterson and highlight his name, but we've seen him wrestle some pretty decent competition well. I like his chances to get to the ticket round at least.
138's got some interesting matchups, and we see that, I think Henry's got the number 1 ranking in the 4-1 semi-state, correct?
No, number two.
Number two,
Hunter
from
Douglas is number
Hunter
one.
Douglas. I'm sorry, I forgot. Hunter Douglas there. And those two have not wrestled this year because Douglas come up the other half the bracket at Al Smith. But, Douglas is one of those guys that's dangerous. But Henry's got a match in a first round against a familiar opponent for us in Max Morales of Heritage. That's a first-round match for Henry. And then possible ticket round match would be wrestlers from Jimtown or Peru. And Hunter Douglas is in the same half the top of bracket, so that'd be a semifinal match for those two if they both win.
Yeah, and all of those guys that you just mentioned, Baldwin, Hartman, Douglas, and
Unger,
and Farrow would have all been at the Al Smith. Eric Hunt, who is also in that bracket. Hunt beat Hartman 16-1 at the Al Smith. Henry Farrote then, as I'm going down through here, going down to the losers bracket, Douglas made the finals, right? And Henry lost to Sonny Sessa. Farrote then came through and beat Hunt 21-4. And then Farrote wrestled Vargo. So, yeah, I don't see Hartman. Hartman got beat by Vargo 13-1 to give you some idea. So,
and then you look at the bottom half of the bracket, then you got Miles Carr with a match against a Garrett wrestler and Harper Lee, 18-7 freshman. That we've seen Carr wrestle very well. That's a pretty winnable match for him. And then he would take on either Hunt or Quentin from Lakeland there.
Ken Dolan. It's not bad either. Lakeland's got some good middleweights, lightweights there as well. So
they got that freshman stud at 44 that put a loss on Gabe Myers' record.
Yeah, I don't think you can write off Miles Carr as a definite loss there in that quarter bracket, and that'd be a nice bonus for the Adams Central.
He has one match. He was trailing Saturday and locked up a cradle. I mean, he was down. I think he got taken down with back points, and he come back and hit the cradle, locked up. He was 5-6 points down, I think.
Down at the bottom, then Jason Landers of Jake County will wrestle Noah Dove of Eastside in the first round. Let's go to 144, and then we'll take a break, Rex. Let's see. Jezra Graber of Lakeland is the guy you were talking about who picked up that win against Gabe Myers at Goshen. He'll take on Keegan Hallis of Eastbrook. Parker Barnes will wrestle Jordan Raines of Homestead. That's in that top quarter bracket. That seems kind of wide open. You look at the semi-state rankings, it's 6, 7, 10, and 12.
You got undefeated 19-0 Halls from Eastbrook coming in there in the top half of the bracket.
Gabe Myers then will take on Tanner Ellis of Columbia City, so a familiar foe there for the Braves. And then Bryson Brossamer of Concord is the opponent potentially in the ticket round. Now, we were just talking about Concord being involved, and Brossamer was the 12th seed in that, and he wrestled into the semifinals, I remember, at the Al Smith. I'm pulling up the bracket now. Brossamer ended up in 6th place, I believe. And Myers just missed out on placing, to give you an idea of where those guys were at the Al Smith. So Brossamer had himself a nice Mishawaka. There's some good context for you there. And Brossamer is ranked behind Myers in the semi-state rankings at 5, Myers at 4. At the bottom of the bracket then, one that we were kind of disappointed to see when the first few matchups started to trickle in, and that was that Wyatt Mann, by virtue of his 4th place finish yesterday, is going to end up wrestling Malachi Tholner in the very first round. The way Mann was wrestling 2 weeks ago, I would have liked to have said that he had a shot against Tholner, but it just doesn't seem like Wyatt has been wrestling to the level that he was going back to conference. The loss to Parker Barnes in the 3rd and 4th place match, I think, really, really hurts him, because if you put Mann up there where Barnes is, I think he has a shot against Jordan Raines. I don't know much about Hallis from Eastbrook, but man, every time we've seen Malachi Tholner this year, we've just been really impressed.
I think Sam Mosher is the class of this field in the bottom half of this bracket, and I think a possible semifinal match against Tholner is going to be a really interesting match.
Yeah, don't forget that Sam Mosier wrestled in the state semifinals last year. He's very accomplished and is definitely – yeah, it's going to be a tough one for South Adams at 144. Let's hope that Wyatt has one of his better days. And as much as I like the New Haven program and I like watching Tholner wrestle, I would really like to see Wyatt punch his ticket to state as a senior. That'd be a cool story for South Adams, father and son.
So with that, let's run around the commercials and back with the bottom half of the weight classes here on WZBD's YouTube channel.
Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
First Bank of Bern is proud to serve as the only local bank in Adams County. I'm Jessica Zerker with First Bank of Bern in Decatur. We believe that a bank's strength is rooted in the prosperity of the communities it serves. This drives our commitment to nurturing the success of businesses in our local area. We provide our customers with easy-to-use banking solutions and exceptional service as part of our dedication to fostering their growth. Whether it's through loans, lines of credit, cash management, or other tailored services, First Bank of Bern stands ready to support your business in thriving and prospering. First Bank of Bern, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment on the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Yeah, I'm looking at this 150 bracket, and there's so many names that we saw this year that I thought, oh, that's a kid who could make it to state. Lathan Janes from Huntington North is the champ at Peru. He wrestles Ashton Goney in the very first round. Goney, obviously a returning state qualifier. I thought Andrew Wilson, all the way going back to December, was a guy who potentially was going to go for Coach Reason. And when Gabe Myers beat Ryan Kokendorfer, I thought that was a really, really good win for Gabe. All four of those guys are in the same quarter. Only one of them is going to go. I don't think that Dylan Ogg's going to have any issues. Kevin Tom is awfully talented. He went to state last year. But, there's nothing that I've seen from Dylan. He doesn't make any mistakes. He's so solid. He's so methodical. He's going to come out and be back in the semi-state.
Who did he wrestle in the finals yesterday? I thought that guy pushed him.
Who was it that was in the finals? Hops?
Hops, yeah. Hops pushed him. That was a good match.
I'll put Ogg in my finals for sure,
yeah.
And be right there again to defend his semi-state title.
Because I think he and Hops went no takedown in the first period, and Ogg got his escape, and then he got a takedown, I think, in the second period. But that was a good match. Hops is solid. I mean, I wouldn't put anybody past Hops in that first round. He's wrestled a kid from Oak Hill with just 2 losses in the first round.
Yeah, and Hops and Davidson of Angola, 2 state qualifiers from a year ago. They'll go head-to-head potentially in the ticket round there. Down at the bottom of the bracket is where you'll find Sam Wolpert's name. He is going to go up against Owen Tolley of Eastern, a senior 32-3 who just snuck into the rankings on the very last day, I think. If he can get by that one, he would likely wrestle Ian Hutchinson of Homestead, and Hutchinson and Wolpert have been ranked sort of back-to-back in the semi-state rankings. I don't, to my knowledge, I'd have to go back and look at it closely. I don't remember those two wrestling. I know that Hutchinson was at the Al Smith. Let me see if I can find it here. Kevin Tom made the quarterfinals there. It was that freshman Pond from Hanover Central who knocked Sam Wolper out of that one. Looking back at this, Sam took 7th. No, they didn't meet. So, yeah, Hutchinson ended up with a little bit better draw in the losers bracket, Rex. I know that was a long time ago. Hutchinson took 6th at the Al Smith, and Sam was 7th, but they never got to see each other, and so that's not really much of – yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a really solid match. Sam was in the ticket round last year and came up just short. If Sam is healthy and ready to go, I have no doubt that he's got a chance to win that one. And I think there's a lot of people who would be really excited to see Sam cap off his career with his longtime teammates down at State. Go to 157, and the one draw that we were really hoping not to. Obviously, you want everybody to make it to the state finals. You want everybody to have that experience. You want kids to make it for the first time, but I think more than anything, you want those kids who have tasted that to be able to go again. And it's going to be a tough road to hoe for Mav Dubois, who was injured yesterday. We'll see what kind of shape he's in by the end of the week. But the one draw that we didn't want was for him to draw number 1 ranked in the state, Lincoln Carter, and that's exactly what happened. We'll see what Mav's got as far as the injury goes. Hopefully he's able to go and give Carter his best shot. That's 2 seniors, both returning state medal winners in the ticket round. You don't get that very often, no matter which semi-state you're in.
Yeah, he'd see a 10th grader from Oak Hill with a 22-5 record in Gage Pierce in his first round. And then you look at Chuck Froat. He's got Flowers from Huntington North. That he said that Flowers has beat him a couple of times already, but that's one of those things. It's hard to beat a good guy 3 times, and the matches keep getting closer. So
yeah, and for Froat and the winner of Froat and Flowers, then the next match is against the winner of 2 guys who aren't ranked in the semi-state. And Dean's here with us, and Dean just kind of made the comment earlier. It's something that we echoed yesterday. You finish second, and then you look at the guy who finished third or the guy who finished 4th, and you think, boy, I'd take that draw over it. That's just the way that our state tournament works, and there's really not much that you can do about it. You feel for Mav on that one, but hopefully more than anything, he's healthy enough to wrestle, and we get to see him on the mat one more time, because I would hate for that kind of be the way that we end it. But let's not forget all that he's accomplished, and to win a state medal is not an easy thing in today's sport, especially for schools the size of the ones here in Adams County. And they're not – an injury yesterday is not going to take that medal away from him.
Yeah, the bottom half of the bracket, you've got Jackson Bradley ranked number 1 in the Fort Wayne semi-state and 2 overall, and he just 1 loss in the season out of state. And he's probably the strongest competitor on that bottom half of the field. You've got your little cousin Eli Loshi down there. He takes on Ogilby with just 1 loss from Maconaquah. That's his first round match. Then you got Zeeland Zaire and Gafar from Northwood in the bottom half of the bracket underneath him. So
who do you like, Rex, if it is Bradley and Carter in the finals? I know you didn't get a chance to see Eastside this year like I did.
Well, I saw him at 1A State, but I never saw him wrestle. He was on the mat like 45 seconds on 3 matches. I never saw him wrestle. So he's a big, strong kid. He looks huge for a 57-pounder.
Yeah, that will be one that will likely garner a lot of attention over the next week and get people excited for.
I think Bradley is one of the most technically sound wrestlers in 57, and Carter may be stronger than he is, but I think Bradley's just really slick.
So let's go to 165 then. At 165, Riley Biddle is up at the top. He would be a potential ticket round opponent for Austin Manley, but Manley will have to make up the ground on Noah Bowser. Bowser is the guy, if you remember 2 years ago, or I guess last season, that he was trailing and pinned, right?
Yeah.
And then this year, I believe it was Bowser who got the better of.
He manhandled him. That match was not
Manley.
even close.
So. And Austin, of course, was coming off of that long period where he didn't wrestle, and we've been pretty impressed with him the last 2 weeks. He's won the matches that he needed to keep going, and to finish 3rd, I think, was a big benefit for him because, if I remember right, as I scroll down, I don't know. It could be that Du Bois maybe has a little bit better draw down there at the bottom half, but when you got 13 losses on your record, you can't be too picky when it comes to draws. So I think Austin Manley is going to be a guy who next year you expect to be a semi-state qualifier.
Yep.
And the year after that, he's going to be the guy in the mix as a state qualifier. If he could pick off somebody early and score an upset, that would be great for the Adams County contingent. What do you think about Nathan Plattner's draw there?
Plattner wrestles Jackson Inslee, who's a senior from Garrett that's got 12 losses. That's a kind of a toss match, but then Sean Caldwell of Marion with just 2 losses will be a possible ticket round for him. Let's don't forget about Shorty down at the bottom. Brayson Shorty with just 1 loss. Wrestles a Meineke first round, and then possible ticket round match would be Kohlhofer from Huntington North, who he's defeated. I think Shorty's the strongest of that bottom half bracket.
He carries the number 1 ranking in our semi-state. And, back to Plattner, I feel like some of those Marion guys sometimes come in with pretty inflated records. I don't think it's the worst draw for him to pick up that Peru champ as his potential. And, Plattner's just so dang strong that, it could be a headlock, it could be a chin rip, it could be something like that where even if he's trailing, you take that one shot. And
how many of his losses are to Shorgan? So, yeah,
he's 24-9. And it'll be another shot for South Adams to punch one through. So, we're lucky to have all 3 guys in Adams County left in that bracket, and potentially, as you look at it, having 3 of the final 8 guys in that bracket when it comes to the ticket round. Let's move to 175, and Wesley Hendrickson was the champ at Winchester. That means that the rest of the guys from our area are going to have to go down to the bottom. Owen Shane picks up Jacob B. Miller of Concord. He's the champ there. And tell you what, when you're a freshman and you're wrestling up that high and you can get a semi-state draw with a guy with no numbers next to his name, you take it. You take it and you run with it. That's going to be an unfamiliar opponent for both guys. And, we've seen some really good things from Owen Shane. Down at the bottom, Jemison, Adams, those guys have had Owen's number so far this year, if I remember right. But that first match, you just never know.
Yeah, and then you got the Winchester kid at the top. I think Schwartz pushed him hard in the finals yesterday, and then you get Xander down the bottom half of that bracket. He picked up a wrestler from Northwood with 6 losses in Hahn. He told me that's Troy Hahn's son.
I don't know. That's just a guess.
Yeah, relative somehow. Probably related somehow.
Well, he's probably listening right now, so we'll find.
And then you got Fielden, 2 losses on the bottom half of the bracket, and that would be a semifinal match possibly for Xander. But then you got Brian Fields from Jay County on the bottom half of the bracket, and he would have a tick around against Fielden, who's ranked number 1 in a Fort Wayne semi-state, I believe.
Well, don't forget you look past there Eli Gall.
Yeah.
As Gall.
Oh, there's Gall. I see.
Gall, I believe.
He's number 1 in Fort Wayne semi-state,
I believe he pinned Xander Schwartz for one of just his 4 losses this year. So that's one to keep an eye on, and the one that Xander will certainly want to take 6 minutes rather than the shortened amount that they wrestled the first time. Yeah, Gall 45-0, a junior ranked 8th in the state overall. So a tough draw. Anytime you wrestle somebody who's pinned you, obviously you've got a lot of ground to make up. But sometimes when that pin comes early, then you can't really count that as somebody who's all that familiar with you.
Let's start talking some studs. We get to 90. At the top half of the bracket at 90, you got Jack Slitsfield with 1 loss on the season, and that loss is to West Somerset. Somerset is down in the bottom half of the bracket. Palacios is in his half the bracket. So Palacios, with 2 losses on the season, takes on a Fort Wayne Carroll wrestler that he's defeated already. And his possible ticket round would be between Robinson of Wawasee and Prickett of Oak Hill. 20-13 for one wrestler and 20-8 in the other one. We've pretty much seen Palacios walk through the tournaments he's wrestled in, gets to the finals of the Al Smith, and Kyle Harden's just really tough. So,
yeah, Jaden Cochran of Carroll is the scheduled opponent for Palacios, and I noticed that Jaden was an injury default in the 3rd place match. I talked to Coach Cochran last week at the middle school match, and I know that Jaden was out for the duel between them and Belmont, and so I hope that he, like Mav, is able to wrestle on Saturday. You hate to see a kid not be able to compete.
But that would set up a
final
possible semifinal match between Litchfield and Palacios, who have not seen each other this year.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, based on what we've seen, it's going to be Litchfield and Palacios in the semifinal. And then you look at the bottom, and you're looking at, well, now they have, it's interesting. Do you notice on the Indiana map, who's listed as the opponent for Somerset?
Somerset is supposed to wrestle Landon Smith of Whitco, 39-4 senior. They have something different on.
Yeah, he's listed as a forfeit on there.
This is yeah.
Smith is ranked 11th. I remember looking that up when I made the show script. I don't know why it's listed as a forfeit. That would maybe explain a little bit as to why Cochran was an injury default loser. I'm not sure. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So
Max
maybe it's just
from Central draws Job Richmond from Eastside, 40-4 junior. So that's going to be a tough first-round match for Max.
Yeah, and you think about the pummeling that Max Nussbaum has taken from Litchfield twice, Palacios twice,
Somerset.
and Somerset either 2 or 3 times. He's taken it, and once again, he's a guy that if the coin flips different, or if he can pick up one takedown against Sander Schwartz, it's him we're talking about at 175, and Schwartz we're talking about at 190. Those two have been awfully close, and Nussbaum giving up a decent chunk of weight. But he's had a good season. 35 wins for a sophomore at a weight like that is nothing to sneeze at.
And Max did a good job in the dual meet of holding off Xavier, and in the finals that was a different story. Xavier said, let's finish this early, and crunched him up and cross-face cradle him, and it was all she wrote.
We got a message here. Joe says it's just a linking issue on his bracket. So, yeah, Smith will be the opponent. He's 39-4, a senior. Somerset, I don't know. I think Somerset and Smith might have wrestled at that Garrett invite. I'd have to pull it up, and I probably won't be able to pull it up in time for us. But I really do think that those three are correctly ranked in the semi-state rankings and belong there, and that's where that they should be, and that should give us a great set of semifinals if Somerset can get past Jordan Simon.
Yeah. And then you go to 215, and 215 you've got Hartley Hoover in the top half of the bracket. He's a 40-0 senior. His first match would be against the wrestler from Carroll. Ethan Funk is in that quarter bracket with him against Austin Abbott of Prairie Heights with just 4 losses. Funk with 7 losses. We've seen Ethan kind of up and down the last couple weeks. He wrestled pretty well this past weekend, and that's his tick-around match will probably be with Hartley Hoover, who he has been defeated by. Well, no, he wrestled heavyweight during their match.
Yeah,
they flipped.
At 215, I wouldn't write off Jake Boots yet. I think, having seen him now the last 3 weekends, I don't think I've seen John Bear this season. But that might be one where Bluffton would be able to sneak in an extra qualifier. I like that match between Derek Morrison and Alan Ortiz in the opening round there as well. And
Luke Powers looked tough.
Powers,
he looked good from Westdale Saturday.
But, man, Aiden Hunt, was it Josh who was talking to us about the difference in Hoover and Hunt and then everybody else in our semi-state? Hunt is he's a strong young man. That would be a good ticket round match for sure. It would be good to see Westdale get a state qualifier.
Let's try and sneak in the heavyweight match here, and you look right at the top half of the bracket. First thing is stares you in face, 37-0 senior Isaiah Coleman from Leo, and he wrestles Buck from Yorktown first match. You got Lenz from Angola with just like 3 losses, and it would be a ticket round. Grady Baker goes away from them, and his ticket round matches. His first round matches against Vaught from Columbus City with 15 losses, and then in the bottom bracket below him is Northfield's Dunphy with 35-9 record, or Lucas Campbell of Fremont, 28-12. So those are both very winnable matches for Grady. That would put him in a possible semifinal matchup with Kuhlman out of the top half of the bracket. down the bottom where you got Reynolds and Lothmer down there. And
yeah, I'm telling you what, if you just take Grady Baker's results all year and you apply them to this bracket, he's your third-place finisher at the semi-state. And I haven't looked at the other semi-states, but it's a great draw for him. I don't think it could have been better for him.
Interesting tick-around match between Smith of North Miami versus Reynolds. Smith from North Miami, I've seen him wrestle, and he's a big, strong kid. And Reynolds is a big, strong kid as well.
Yep. Well, Rex, let's wrap it up here. We've got one more round of messages, and then we'll come back and wrap it all up right after this.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Hello, this is Joel from your local hometown Packaged Liquors. Packaged Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Z-Land. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Packaged Liquors, it's where your friends shop.
If you're serious about taking your wrestling to the next level, then Warrior RTC Wrestling Club is the place to be. Every Sunday at 4:30 and Wednesday at 6, boys and girls from different elementary, middle, and high schools come together to build skills, confidence, and lifelong friendships. With high-level experienced coaches and a positive training atmosphere, every Warrior learns to work hard and have fun doing it. Whether you're chasing your first medal or your next state title, Warrior RTC will help you in your relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Visit online at warriorrtc.com to learn more about the year-round wrestling opportunities and train like a champion.
You hear it all the time. Do you have the right insurance coverage? But are you really taking that question seriously? Josh Book may be stationed in his home office in Noble County, but he's ready to serve you if you're listening to this broadcast, no matter what county you're in, and help you get the best insurance for your farm, business, or home. A proud insurance agent with Farm Bureau Insurance, Josh is ready to have a conversation with you about the rates you're paying and the coverage you're getting. Give him a call and have that important conversation with an experienced Farm Bureau agent today. Find out more at infarmbureau.com.
Welcome back to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly for this overtime period as we are back at the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille.
Yeah, I just wanted to run through really quickly the leaders in 2A and 1A after sectional. Belmont was in the lead with 158 points. Heritage Hills was second. Charlestown third. Southmont, like I told you, I think will qualify for 2A team state despite moving up from 1A to 2A. They're actually ahead of Hanover Central after the first round. So we'll see what happens there. In 1A, Northfield had a 2-point lead on Adams Central. Both of those teams are going to qualify no matter what, I'm pretty sure. Bremen and Rensselaer Central were at 169. Lewis Cass and Alexandria were at 165. And Monrovia, who we said moved down from 2A to 1A, they were the leader amongst the Evansville teams. And then finally, 2 things. We don't want to get too heartwarming on here as Valentine's Day is not until next Saturday, Rex. I hope you got me something. But 2 moments that I noticed yesterday that reminded me that for all of the terrible attitudes that are out there amongst people who attend sporting events and all of the dumb things that people yell, that there is still some good out there in the world. One, after Mav Dubois got hurt yesterday and looked to be in pretty considerable pain, and we were rightfully, I think, worried about him, Sam Wolpert came up off the bench with a bottle of water, hit his good friend Mav Dubois on the shoulder with it and handed it to him. And that kind of hit me in the heartstrings because, those are supposed to be 2 adversaries, 2 teams from rivals, those types of things. And I think that just said a lot about the character of Sam. And I think it also has to be a reflection of the character of Mav as well, in that Sam felt enough sympathy for him, knowing that it could have easily been him who did that move and tore out his knee, and he would have hoped that Mav would have done the same thing to him.
Well, you got to remember, back in my day when I wrestled, we didn't hang around with the Adams Central, the South Adams guys, but now you got to have all these, You got Madman, you got Warrior. These guys, they wrestle and train together all year long. So, I mean, they're a lot closer than the guys back in the 70s and 80s that we used to do, because you didn't hang around. You'd go and you knew some friends that you hung out at tournaments with, and you kind of hung out, but you didn't have the clubs and the training facilities that bring those guys closer together like we do now.
The other moment that I saw was late last night after all the frenzy of the Norwell win at the sectional at Southside. There was a group of 5 Norwell students who were going up and down the bleachers, picking up programs, popcorn bags, and bottles of pop. And that just said something to me, that somewhere out there, somebody is doing something right with their kids, with their teenagers. And so kudos to everybody that we just mentioned, and, of course, everybody who qualified for semi-state as well.
Well, Dane, there I saw a phrase. I watch a lot of TikTok videos, but it always gets me, that same sentiment of picking up trash, putting away your cart at the grocery store. The phrase was, if you can't do the little things in life, you'll never do the big things.
Well, there you go. That's your inspiration for everybody listening who is still alive in the tournament this weekend. Do the little things over the next 5 days, and they might just pay off on Saturday.
With that wraps up another edition of the High School Wrestling Weekly. Back here at the Double Eagle next week for more Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.